The Ohio Pod Squad just sat down for their reunion, and every single secret, every lie, everything they were hoping nobody would bring up, it all came out tonight. A divorce that nobody saw coming. A secret courthouse marriage that happened before the show even finished airing. A baby announcement from someone who never even made it to the altar. A cast member who got absolutely grilled on stage for things he said that the entire internet has been furious about since episode 3. And one woman who looked across that stage, said everything she needed to say, and walked off. This is not a polished, happy ending episode. This is a reckoning, and we are going through every single moment one by one. By the end of this video, you will know the full truth about every couple from Love is Blind Season 10, what happened between the finale and tonight, who came in ready to fight, and who came in hoping everyone had forgotten what they said on camera. Spoiler, nobody forgot. If you are new here, welcome. This channel covers reality TV with zero sugarcoating and full context every single time. Subscribe and hit the notification bell because this season is still generating drama and we are not done talking about it. Now let us get into it. First, let us go back to the beginning because this cast has been carrying a lot of weight since filming wrapped in April 2025, and you need to understand what everyone was walking into that reunion stage with. Love is Blind Season 10 was set in Ohio, Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland. 32 singles ages 28 to 38, and from the very first episode, this season felt different. More raw, more real, more willing to go to places the show usually sidesteps. We had conversations about race that this show has not had before. A cast member who disclosed a serious medical history inside the pods. Real debates about whether someone could relocate for a partner. A situation involving a child and what it means to truly accept someone else's family as your own. And one breakup that was so publicly humiliating that the person who caused it became arguably the most talked about villain in the show's 10-season history. 7 couples got engaged. By the time the finale aired on March 4th, 4 of them had made it to the altar. And by the time the reunion aired tonight on March 11th, the scoreboard looked completely different from what we saw at those weddings. Nick and Vanessa Lachey hosted as always. The cast walked in. Some of them clearly had not been in the same room since cameras stopped rolling. And some of them clearly had things they had been waiting months to say out loud. Let us go through it. Chris Fusco. Let us start here because this is the one the audience has been waiting for since the Pilates comment went viral. For anyone who somehow missed it, Chris broke up with Jessica Barrett during the living together phase of the show by telling her, essentially, that he was struggling to find her physically attractive because she did not do Pilates every day. That is not a paraphrase. That is what he said. On camera. To her face. The clip spread across every corner of social media immediately. Jessica left, and Chris's behavior in the group scenes that followed was not better. He showed up to group events, made everything uncomfortable, and generally conducted himself in a way that made it hard to find anyone defending him online. At the reunion tonight, based on the preview Netflix dropped showing Nick Lachey going directly at him, Chris was not let off easy. Nick held his feet to the fire. The audience in that room was not warm, and Chris had to sit there and try to explain a comment and a pattern of behavior that genuinely does not have a good explanation. Jessica, for her part, is thriving. She is reportedly now dating Haramol, a doctor who was actually one of the pod daters earlier this season. She walked into that reunion with receipts and a new relationship and the energy of someone who has fully moved on. And the contrast between where she is now and where Chris is could not have been sharper. This is the thing about this show that people sometimes forget. The cameras stop. Real life continues. And real life has a way of sorting things out. Now let us talk about the Pilates comment man getting confronted. But let us also talk about the man on the other side of the stage who was quiet all season and finally had to be loud tonight. Alex Henderson. Alex and Ashley Carpenter had one of the more complicated journeys of the season. They had chemistry in the pods, real conversations, a connection that felt genuine in the early episodes. And then the cracks started appearing. Ashley began noticing inconsistencies, stories that did not fully add up, details that shifted between tellings. And by the time they were standing at the altar, Ashley had made up her mind. She cut him off before he could even finish his vows. She told him she already knew his answer, that lying was a deal breaker, and that she knew she deserved something more extraordinary. Alex was blindsided. His family was in that room. Her family was in that room. And he did not get the chance to respond in that moment. Tonight, he got that chance. The conversation between Ashley and Alex at the reunion was one of the most charged of the entire episode. Two people with two completely different versions of the same story, sitting 3 feet apart, trying to explain themselves to each other and to millions of people watching at home. Alex maintained his version. Ashley maintained hers. And the audience was split, not on who to root for, because that is obvious, but on whether Ashley's delivery at the altar was fully fair to someone who, even if he was not fully honest, did not get to say a single word in his own defense before she walked away. Was Ashley right to say no? Without question. Was the way she did it the most considered possible version of that decision? That is the debate this cast is going to be having for years. Okay, stay with me because this next part is where the season makes actual history. Amber Morrison and Jordan Faith walked down the aisle together on April 9th, 2025. They said their vows. Their families were there. It was real. It was legal. And it was, by every external measure, one of the more emotionally earned weddings the show has produced. And tonight, at the reunion, Amber announced they are divorced. This is the first time in American Love is Blind history that a couple who legally married on the show has come to a reunion and announced a divorce. It has happened on the UK version. It has never happened here. Until tonight. Their marriage lasted approximately 3 months. Jordan reportedly left, and the way he left, based on everything Amber said on that stage tonight, was not handled with the kind of care or respect that someone who married you on national television deserves. Amber did not sit quietly. She did not give diplomatic non-answers. She said what happened. She named what she felt. And at one point, she got up and walked off that stage. Not because she was falling apart, because she had said what she came to say. And she was done performing composure for a room full of people after everything she had been through. That walk-off is going to be in every Love is Blind highlight reel for the next decade. Not because it was dramatic, because it was true. Amber Morrison came to that reunion with nothing left to protect and everything to say. And she said it. Amber was a single mother going into this process. Her daughter Emma was part of every conversation she had with Jordan. She was not just asking him to love her. She was asking him to show up for a child who already existed. And whatever the full story is between them about why this marriage ended so fast, that context matters enormously. Now let us talk about the twist that has the internet completely losing its mind in the best possible way. Bri and Connor Spees did not get married on the show. They ended their engagement before the weddings. Bri told Connor he was a lesson, not the love of her life, in a line that was one of the more brutal sentences uttered in 10 seasons of this franchise. And then the cameras went away. In March 2025, approximately 2 weeks after filming Wrapped, Bri and Connor went to Hamilton County, Ohio, and got legally married. Privately, quietly. A real marriage certificate exists with their full legal names and occupations. Connor is listed as an account manager, Bri as a senior merchant. No Netflix production crew, no audience, no dramatic music. Just two people who clearly could not stay apart, choosing to make it official on their own terms. They confirmed it at the reunion tonight, and the reaction in that room and across social media was one of genuine joy, which is rare at a Love is Blind reunion. Think about what this actually means. These two said they were done on camera. They went home. They talked. They dated in real life. And they looked at each other and decided they did not need a television moment to validate what they had. They just went and handled it. That is the most Love is Blind thing that has ever happened on Love is Blind. The show's entire premise is that love can grow without the interference of the physical world, and Bri and Connor proved that it can also survive the interference of the cameras. Let us talk about Devontae Anderson and Brittany Wicker, because this situation went further after filming than almost anyone expected. Devontae and Brittany never made it to the altar. Their separation before the weddings was complicated from the start. There were genuine doubts on his side, and the detail that emerged during filming, that Brittany had purchased her wedding dress before she even entered the pods, became something Devontae could not fully move past. It raised questions for him about expectations, about whether she was truly open to whatever the process revealed, or whether she had already decided the outcome before it started. They parted ways before the wedding week, and then, at the reunion tonight, Devontae announced that he is engaged and expecting a child with someone else. Someone he met, started a relationship with, and got serious with, all in the months since filming wrapped in April 2025. This information had already been partially leaked before tonight. Devontae's ex-girlfriend had spoken about it on the Reality Receipts podcast ahead of the reunion. But hearing it confirmed on that stage, in that room, with Brittany sitting nearby, was something else entirely. Devontae moved fast. Whatever feelings existed between him and Brittany clearly resolved themselves quickly once he was back in the real world. And the timeline of that new relationship, from meeting someone to being engaged and expecting a baby in under a year, is the kind of thing that raises questions even without any accusation attached. Brittany handled it on stage, but there is no version of that moment that does not carry weight. And then there is Vic St. John and Christine Hamilton, the one couple walking into tonight with nothing to defend. These two got married on April 9th, 2025, and they are still married, still together, and genuinely, visibly happy in a way that is almost jarring in the context of everything else this reunion revealed. Vic was spotted wearing his wedding ring during the off-season months, before the season even started airing. Another cast member accidentally confirmed they were still together in an interview before the reunion. There were no rumors, no leaked drama, no concerning social media activity. Just two people quietly living their life together while the rest of the cast's post-show situations exploded across the internet. At the altar, Vic had told Christine that the first time they met, he lost his words, and that watching her come down the aisle, he still could not find them. For a man who is literally a PhD and a professor, someone whose entire career is built on language and communication, that line landed as one of the most genuinely moving moments of the entire season. Christine brought Vic to Hillsboro, Ohio, a place she described as somewhere she used to be embarrassed about. She had never shown it to anyone before. That moment, her choosing to show Vic the part of herself she usually kept hidden, said everything about the kind of trust they built. Vic and Christine came to this reunion as the only thing every Love is Blind fan needs to see at the end of a season like this: proof that the thing actually works. Sometimes. Hot take time, and I want to say something that goes a little deeper than the usual drama recap. Chris's Pilates comment was not just a bad moment, it was a symptom of something this show has always had lurking underneath it. The idea that physical attraction is secondary until suddenly it is not. The pods are designed to strip away appearance and build emotional connection first, and for most people, that works. They fall in love with a voice, a laugh, a worldview, and then they see the person and the love is already there, and it carries the physical forward. But for a small number of people, the pods create a connection that does not survive the weight of physical reality. And instead of owning that honestly, those people look for explanations, reasons that put the fault somewhere outside themselves. And in Chris's case, that reason became Jessica's exercise habits. That is not a Pilates problem. That is a self-awareness problem. And the fact that he had to sit on that stage tonight and answer for it, in front of the woman he humiliated, in front of Nick Lachey, in front of a live audience, is the kind of accountability this show does not always deliver, but absolutely should. Now drop this in the comments right now. Who do you think came out of this reunion looking the best? Not who had the most dramatic moment. Who handled themselves with the most integrity on that stage tonight? Because I have a very clear answer, and I want to see if this audience lands in the same place. So here is the final truth about the Ohio Pod Squad after tonight's reunion. 7 engaged. 4 at the altar. 1 first ever American Love is Blind divorce. 1 secret courthouse marriage from a couple who did not even get a wedding episode. 1 baby announcement from someone who was not at the altar. 1 woman who walked off a stage because she had nothing left to perform. 1 villain finally held accountable. And 1 couple, Vic and Christine, who simply did what this show is supposed to do. Chris is exposed. Devonta has a new life coming. Brittany deserved better. Ashley said her truth standing up. Alex is still processing. Amber is going to be okay. Jordan has some questions to answer. Bri and Connor handled business quietly at a courthouse and came out of this season as the most unexpectedly romantic story the franchise has ever produced. And Vic and Christine are still married, still happy, still the proof that sometimes love really is blind. If you watched tonight and one moment hit you harder than you expected, put it in the comments right now. I want to know which part of this reunion got you. Like this video if it helped you process everything. Subscribe if you are new, because we are going to be unpacking this season for a while longer, and there is more to come. I will see you in the next one.